Hey yo guys, back here to do a review of one of the older WrestleManias, as WrestleMania is of course kind of coming up in a few weeks, and I've seen people do reviews of past WrestleManias, but I don't think they're, doing that well of a job on them. Either they're just basically they're literally just fucking showing you the tape, or they're, reviewing it, but they're not putting the best effort in. Most of that, I think, is due to the fact they don't have As Long As I Can Go, which, sucks. But anyways, the show I'm going to review is the show that, I'm not kidding, ruined professional wrestling for me to an extent. That will be WrestleMania XI. This is the original tape version I have from pay-per-view, from Viewer's Choice pay-per-view, back from April the 2nd, 1995, taped, as, I really didn't feel like, I have a bunch of the collector stuff. I didn't feel like taking that out. Just felt this was good enough. As I think with the original tape, it is more, it's obviously gets the real feeling in what the show actually was. Now, this was, of course, the first WrestleMania, first and only to date, to be in the WWF's own backyard of Connecticut. And man, it did not do that well in terms of attendance. It was down in attendance. Down in terms of gate from the previous WrestleMania 10, which I think you can take into consideration that, WrestleMania 10 was in Madison Square Garden and the building wasn't bigger. But when you look at the card and you how they hyped it up, I don't think there's that much there wasn't that much there for like maybe the wrestling audience. There was definitely more of a casual fan appeal with the main event of Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow. But yeah, this show, like I said, it ruined wrestling for me due to the fact that, I was such a mark and believed anything that went on television was real. And when it got time to the main event here, I was all, there's no way this football player can come in and win. There's absolutely no way. And then my dad, who doesn't watch this much, he's so going to win. And then he won. Like 5 minutes later, Lawrence Taylor won and just killed me on the believability factor of what goes on there. It literally took me away, and I believe that it hurt me for a few years and stuff of that nature, but it killed it for me for a long time. Anyways, let's get into this show. I mean, what a show. What a mania. We started things out with the tag match of the Allied Powers, which consisted of the British Bulldog and Lex Luger versus the Blue Brothers, making their Mania debut, who were, of course, Jacob and Eli Blue, a.k.a. Ron and Don Harris, coming over from WCW after Hulk Hogan single-handedly buried them, as they were the Bruise Brothers over there, but Hulk Hogan single-handedly buried the team. This was a bad opener, folks. Let's just say that right now. What a bad opener. I mean, good God almighty, could Lex Luger not have timing at all in this match? I mean, it starts out with, the Blue Brothers coming in. The bell rings, and they try to get the big, fast-paced start, the ambush attack as the babyfaces aren't ready, but no, the babyfaces are, and they start, doing these double-team moves, and, like, Luger is just half a step behind for the entire segment of this. Like, I believe they do, double... send their opponents in off the ropes and do double clotheslines, and Luger's member of the Harris brothers doesn't come in like more than 5 seconds after the other guy, and then they do double clothesline spot to the opponents, like with the baby faces coming off the ropes, and good God, could Luger have been bad like there, just so bad. And then of course the match mainly consisted of Bulldog working in there because the Blue Brothers had to get heat on someone, and God knows Lex Luger wasn't going to sell that well, which really kind of surprised me a bit, because when I think of Lex Luger's career, it's going to be posing, always getting way too pushed, for, what he had, and he had an incredible look, but always got super duper pushed, and back bump. I mean, the man could do a mean back bump, folks. Let me just say that right now. But, Bulldog's in there selling a lot, and most of the stuff in here was the fact that because they're twins, they can, come in and out. And throughout the entire match, Vince McMahon would just be like, well, you can't tell who this one is. I don't know who this one is. Vince would just do this thing, like, Vince on commentary was just bad the entire night. I was, honest to God, a fan of Vince McMahon on commentary, but he was not on for this night for some reason. There was just something about Vince on this show that wasn't there. Because Vince would do this thing, okay? Every near fall, it'd be like, 1, 2, he got him, no. He just like, no, wait. Like, every near fall, it was, 1, 2, he got him, no. No. I mean, it could have just been a dropkick spot, and he got him, he got him. Like, Vince was just so into it. Like, no, not at all, Vince. Not even close. So then finally, after like an hour and a half of Bulldog getting all the heat on him and stuff of that nature, he finally makes the tag in. You know, Luger comes in, hits his finish. They switch it up again, and then we have, you know, looks like Bulldog's trying to get a pile driver, or Luger's trying to get a pile driver on one of the Blue Brothers, or one of the Blue Brothers trying to hit a pile driver on Bulldog, or Luger, excuse me, and Bulldog comes off the top rope, sunset flip, 1, 2, 3. That's the finish. Just out of nowhere. I mean, if you look up the definition in the dictionary, finishes out of nowhere. That match right there. I mean, what the hell happened here? Obviously, the company had plans on pushing the Blue Brothers, but when you look at from them from this point on, they're on pay-per-view, but it's there to do jobs. Felt bad for them, as, you know, they were a perfect team for Vince, as, you know, they had height and they had ability. I mean, they could go. Let's just face it. The Harris Brothers had talent. Let's just put it that way. While, you know, Bulldog definitely had talent, and when you think of this match, like Lex Luger, how bad could you have fallen? You were in the main, going after a title, the title, 1 year ago, and now you're opening in a tag match. And you were in there for 5 minutes. Like, wow. Before we get to the next match, which was the Intercontinental title match, this needs to be brought up. This show showed how bad the WWF was at this point in terms of production, and, because they had no audio the entire night. Like, the show opened after a bad video package, folks. Let me tell you this video package. It's basically showing all the highlights of the WrestleManias from the past. And most of the WrestleManias, of course, they had just had showing the celebrities and stuff, which, you know what, I'm fine with, as they really probably didn't want to show Hulk Hogan and stuff of that nature, because Hogan, obviously, at this point, is in WCW, and Savage and stuff of that. But how do you fuck up your own video package when you show WrestleMania 6 and there's, like, Donald Trump inserted in there? Donald Trump, I can guarantee, was not at any of those WrestleMania. Not at WrestleMania 6. So how do you mess up your own video package? Mind-boggling. Mind-effing-boggling. Then, they come in. I'm sorry I had to do this, but this needs to be said. They come back in, okay, and the audio is so bad. We're supposed to, Vince McMahon's in the ring, and he's throwing to the Special Olympian, who the WWF was sponsoring as the Special Olympics that year, were in Connecticut, and the WWF was a big sponsor, as I just said. So Vince is in there, and he's like trying to say it's Kathy Huey doing it, but there's no audio at all. Absolutely none. At all. The audio was so bad, it's just mind-boggling at how bad it was. Through the entire night. Like, 1 or 2 snafus I can understand, but wow. The entire night was just consisted of, that's what it consisted of a lot. Like a bad Chinese movie. So, wow. Then like, the audio continues again, as, you know, they're trying to kill time, you know, Lawler's cracking jokes and stuff of that nature. So they throw to Nicholas Turturro, who is one of the detectives, one of the stars of the new hit show, NYPD Blue. So they basically have him being in his NYPD Blue character, trying to find Pamela Anderson, who was missing. And that's actually legitimate. She did leave the building, because Shawn Michaels and her, I believe then husband at the time, Tommy Lee Jones, had a massive argument. I believe Shawn did strike Tommy Lee Jones. She left and actually considered leaving this whole event, and Vince would have been like, fuck. Because we spent all this time advertising her and stuff, and she's not going to be there. So they made the switch of, you know, she came back and only would be with Nash. But we'll get to that when we get to the WWF Championship match on this show. This is going to be a long review, folks. I can just sense it. Long review. So anyways, they set up Nicholas Turturro, and he's in the $1 Million Corporation's dressing room, and you just look at there, it's like, wow, what a payday. I really wish I could have been in the $1 Million Corporation at that point. I wish I could have been Mike Rotundo, who, I swear to God, his whole job on this show was to drink pop, eat food, and run to the ring. That was all he did, and he made probably his biggest payday of the year. Drinking pop, eating food, and running. Wow, what a dream. Anyways, so Turturro has no audio for this, though. They try to set up this interview with Jenny McCarthy, and then you see Kama get all interested in coming up. And then after, we'll get to that in a second. The next match is for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. It is Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and the Roadie versus Razor Ramon with the 1-2-3 Kid. And you sit here now and think, holy shit, this is half the TNA roster in this match. Wow. Anyways, so this match, you know, they bring up on how Jeff Jarrett won the championship is the fact that the Roadie clipped out Razor's knee at the Rumble, and that led to Jeff Jarrett winning the championship. Of course, Vince at this point obviously was out of his mind and said, well, let's go show you how Jeff Jarrett won the WWF Championship. Jeff Jarrett now must have been like, holy fuck, Vince thought I won the championship. Excuse me. So anyways, this match, you know, Razor comes out, and they try to do an interview with the Kid, and audio, once again, holy fuck, it's like the Kid is in a hole, and then they bring the audio up finally at the end of the interview. So anyways, the match starts, Razor comes out of House of Fire, and for some reason the Kid is in the ring during this. I have not a reason why. Obviously, the Kid was not getting enough TV time, or was tired of doing jobs for the likes of Mr. Bob Backlund, so he was just in there dancing and prancing around. Anyway, when the match begins, it's still Razor in control for a lot of it. You know, the thing that boggled me about this match is they decided to do the whole, let's go after Razor's knee, like, in the last 5 minutes of this match. Don't really understand why. The match was actually one of the better things on the show in terms of a, you know, if you're looking at a technical aspect, it went well. I mean, Ramon and Jarrett had a decent amount of chemistry throughout their entire careers. You know, the finish of this one is bad, folks. Let's just say that. Oh, by the way, I must say, Brian James, as the roadie, he took some serious bumps in this one, folks. I mean, Kid hit him in the face with a spin kick, and Razor dropped him on the floor with a mean shot, and Jarrett was then sent over and landed on him. I mean, wow. This was like a lot of bumps for this guy in that show. Of course, then, you know, it's like after they started finally getting into the knee storyline, you know, Razor makes a comeback, gets him elevated for the Razor's Edge. The Roadie comes in, chop blocks Razor's knee. And then we have a disqualification. The Kid comes in, makes the save, hits a spinwheel kick on Jeff Jarrett, and busts him open hard way. And when Jarrett, you know, they get revenge on him and whatever, Jarrett, I think, is legitimately pissed off at the Kid. He yells something at him like, fuck you, punk, or something like that, and puts the figure 4 leg on him. And then the Roadie comes over, and like the force that he's throwing these shots, it's like he was mad too with the Kid. The Kid must have pissed both these men off so much. And then, you know, it's a melee and Donnybrook, and Jeff Jarrett retains the belt. Then we go to the next match, which is The Undertaker versus King Kong Bundy. This is a bad match. Like, this is so bad. Oh my god. I cannot even describe. If you have not seen this match, it's bad. King Kong Bundy was never regarded as a great wrestler, but, you know, with the right guy, he could have a good match. But, I mean, even, I guess, Undertaker, I don't know what to say. Undertaker wasn't maybe even that good at this point. I mean, the story of the match was, of course, that, you know, the Undertaker lost his urn as it was repossessed by the $1 Million Corporation. So, you know, they come out, and the match is going. Taker does this walking of the ropes and comes down on Bundy, and they get the urn back. I don't know why you would do that angle, like, midway through the match. So, Kama comes back, Dibiase sends for Kama to come down, and they get the urn back. Like, maybe if you wanted to save that, like, you could get the urn be back midway through the match, but at the end, I don't know. Why would you want to just blow off your whole angle that you're trying to set up? Why would you be setting up an angle midway through? Couldn't they have got the urn back and, like, saved it up for TV? I don't know. This company at this point in time was bad, folks. Anyways, this match, the majority of this match consisted of Bundy chinlock. That was the match. This was literally the match. As after Taker got distracted, Bundy went to work on him, chinlock. Bundy was in there for like maybe 5 minutes with the chinlock. 5 minutes. I don't want to see that, folks. Then Taker comes back, you know, he clothesline. He body slammed Bundy. And, you know, he hit the finish was a clothesline because obviously he's not going to get Bundy up for a tombstone or anything like that. Horrendous match. 6 minutes was maybe the perfect amount of time, but I would have been fine with 3. But anyways, that was the worst thing on the show. Then we go to maybe one of the better things on the show in terms of matches. It's the WWF Tag Team Championship match, as we have the Rocket Owen Hart, or the King of Hearts Owen Hart, as he was, you know, at this point, he had a mystery partner. He challenged the Guns and said he was going to have a mystery partner. He's challenging the Smoking Guns for the belts. Now, Owen comes out and gets one of the bigger pops of the night. As Owen was over, let's just put it this way, people were more interested to see Owen Hart than anyone on this show. So Owen comes out and says that, you know, his partner did something that he always wanted to do: beat his brother Bret at a WrestleMania, or beat his brother Bret for the WWF Championship, and his partner is Yokozuna. So Yoko comes out. You know, Yoko of course lost the casket match to lose weight, but came back, you know, 100 pounds bigger, which you know, caused his downfall. But anyways, he comes out and you know, gets a pretty good reaction, actually, I would say, and it builds for interesting team. And then this, you know, the match starts with the Guns coming out, and, you know, they're trying to cut a promo being on that they're shocked, and, you know, doing a good job of that. Anyway, so the match begins, and it's the Guns getting the advantage on Owen, you know, basically keeping the storyline that you're supposed to keep, that you want to have Owen in the match, and you want to keep Yoko on the outside, which worked for a while. You know, then the Owen makes a blind tag, I believe it was, after he does it. It's a drop toe hold on Billy Gunn. Yoko, it's a big leg drop and stuff of that. And, you know, the tide turns for a bit. Then it's just Yoko gassing early, and he puts on a chin lock on Billy Gunn. And, you know, eventually Billy makes a tag, and things get going again. And for some reason, it looked like they were supposed to, like, Bart Gunn was supposed to have his heat cut off really soon, as Owen puts his hand up on the rope. But I think Owen must have jumped the gun, as that spot happens, but not for another, like, 5 minutes. As they're double teaming on, they're double teaming Yoko. Of course, they get their heat back after Owen Hart missed a drop kick. And then, you know, the biggest pop of the night to this point is that after Bart Gunn takes a spill to the floor, Yokozuna hits a belly-to-belly suplex, brings Billy Gunn over, hits the bonsai drop, which, I swear to God, that looks so devastating, and I never in my life would have wanted to take it that. As, of course, when Yoko was doing it, when he made his debut back in late 92, early 93, he had a lot of padding on under there to make him look bigger, but, you know, Vince wanted him to get big, so he started bulking up in terms of mass with food, and there was no padding there anymore, folks. It was just him literally jumping off a rope onto your sternum and chest. Not fun. And then Owen comes in and pins his Billy Gunn, and we have new WWF Tag Team Champions. And really, that's a fine move. The Guns, they had a really decent... I can't say they had a decent run. I thought it was weird that they gave them the belts because they were supposed to win, I think, the tag tournament, but Bart Gunn got hurt, so they gave the 1-2-3 Kid and Bob Holly the belts for one day. Anyway, so that was that. And you know what? Owen and Yoko worked with the belts really well for the time that they had them. Anyways, but that was that. And that got the biggest pop of the night once the victory was there. The fans were more into Owen Hart than most of the top baby faces on this show. So then we go to the next match, which was Bret Hart versus Mr. Bob Backlund. As this was a submission match, as we had Roddy Piper out there, who I like Piper. I like Piper a lot, but he was a big hindrance in this match, I think. You know, just sticking the microphone in there for submitting in situations where you really wouldn't want to ask that, I thought. And the fact that these two just, for some reason, did not click on this show. They had actually a really good match back at the 1994 Survivor Series where they clicked and their chain wrestling worked really well. But I don't think this match needed to be a submission match. You know, it was, of course, the fact that Bret was working on the knee and Backlund was working on the shoulder and stuff. But, I don't know. I mean, the finish of the match is Bret hitting a chicken wing, a cross-face chicken wing on Bob Backlund, but it's just so sloppily executed. It's just like he has his hand there and stuff. It's just like not even putting effort into it. And, you know, every time Bob would be asked, do you want to submit? He'd say no, no, no. But then it's like, do you want to submit? It's like, do you want to submit? You should say, I submit. It's just, yeah. So that was it. Fans had no clue what happened. So Bret wins the match, and Bret in his book even said this was not a good match. So, I mean, Bret's one of their... I don't know what it was. The timing wasn't there. The chemistry, for some reason, wasn't there. You know, and this was really the end of Bob Backlund in the WWF, as, you know, he did this thing where he was running for president, and he had a, like, 2-week feud with Man Mountain Rock, and that was it. That was, like, it for Bob Backlund in the WWF. Anyways, moving along, we have the next match, which was for the WWF Championship. Big Daddy Cool Diesel defending the belt against Shawn Michaels. And one of, honestly, the better Rumble to Mania storylines, as, Diesel's ex-friend, yeah, or the guy Diesel used to bodyguard for, turned his back on him, and now they're going at it for the belt. I thought that was something well done, put together well, and, Shawn decided, look, I'm going to have an insurance policy, and they brought Sid back. Yeah, anyways, and one thing with this show is I think this show has something I think WWF really wishes they could still have, is the fact that this show, because of the main event being with, a former NFL football player, there's a lot of actual legitimate, press out there snapping photos. And I think Vince would still like to have that, especially when they had, Floyd Mayweather and Mickey Rourke doing this thing last year with Jericho. I think they probably would have liked to have something like that, but I think the reason they don't do it is because of something like this, what happened on this show. As in this match, they started off, basically, they find Pamela Anderson is the fact that Diesel brought her out. Anyways, so the match begins. It's Shawn, charging and getting elevated really high over the top rope. I mean, this is a massive back body drop. And he comes back in, Diesel, it's just Diesel's getting the advantage. It's a really good, well-worked power versus agility match. And some of the Shawn was just bumping really well for, Nash. I mean, obviously they're friends, but I that's one of the main reasons, and the fact that it's the biggest show of the year, that they're bumping really, he was bumping really well for Nash there. Anyways, like I said, a lot of the stuff, it's a good power agility match, Shawn is, flying around the ring, and Diesel would, catch him with a clothesline, or he'd go for a sunset flip. Diesel would just lift him back up, and anything distraction they'd work, he'd have to, they'd have, Sid get up on the apron, and Shawn would come back in to try to, sneak attack, but Diesel would be there and catch it off guard, because, he would know, they knew the game plan going in. Anyway, so they get to the outside, as I believe that he's dropped a gain over the top rope, and Shawn hits a photographer. Shawn is, pissed about this photographer being right where he was, and he grabs his photographer and hurls him down the aisleway. Great moment of the show, in reality. That's a top moment right there. Anyway, so they get back on the floor, and Diesel and Shawn are battling out there, and Shawn, pushes one of the photographers against the ring post, and Diesel goes for an elbow and hits his rib, so that's where Shawn can get his heat. And the fact that, it's a rib injury, and the fact that the big man has to be down, and he can't use the size to his advantage. Shawn does this spot where he splashes Diesel on the floor from the apron. Pretty well done. I think the match has actually worked very well. It's just that it starts to fall apart towards the end, as this match has one of the most pointless ref bumps ever. Why did Earl Hebner need to have his knee, his ankle or knee blown out in this match? You could have done the exact same thing where, Shawn hits the super kick on Diesel, but is, so tired from, getting all those bumps and fighting through it all, getting the super kick out of nowhere and just struggling to make the cover, and Diesel can kick out. You could have done the exact same thing without a ref bump. And then they did this thing where once they finally get Hebner back in the ring, they had Sid go to cut off the top turnbuckle with, a switchblade, which, wow. So that is taken off, and they later on try to elevate Shawn into the top turnbuckle through with a catapult, but, they're too far out, so Shawn hits the middle turnbuckle. It just starts to fall apart there, and, the first jackknife that is hit, Shawn, literally almost lands on his feet. Shawn had about 2 days of power bombs, so I'll get to that in a second about what they did. So, that happens. I mean, they did a pretty decent spot, I thought. A pretty cool spot where Shawn came off the middle rope and Diesel caught him into a sidewalk slam. That was nice. But, just it started to fall apart today. And it was a really well-worked match. The story worked well and all, and that stuff. But, the end, then it's just I believe he hit another jackknife. They had to make him hit another jackknife because the first one just looked like such shit. I think he hit another jackknife. Can't really remember. But, anyways, he gets the pinfall. Okay, he pins him clean. Shawn's out of there so fast. And then you hear Vince on commentary, I don't think we're going to see the last of these two having a match. Basically meaning, they're going to have another program. No, not even at all. Because what happened the next night on Raw is they turned Shawn Michaels babyface with Sid attacking him. Way to execute that one, Vince. Vince changed his mind, which is just so used to. He changed his mind on this one, folks. So, we could have had, the first match at In Your House being, the main event of In Your House being Diesel and Shawn in a rematch, which would not have been bad. It would have been probably 2 good matches on that show. But no, they decided not to do that. And the fans, by the way, did not know what the hell was happening. They thought they were going to they're turning Sid face as the fans are popping, yay, Sid! And by the way, Sid in this match, most over man. Most over man in this match is Sid. They're like, when Shawn is on the floor, or Diesel's on the floor, after he hit his ribs into the post, the fans are like, Sid, 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 and Sid then screams over at the fans, I'm not doing anything to be over. Absolutely hilarious. I don't even know if that's on the new tapes, but wow, so funny. And then, like, the fans start to turn on Diesel. Like, he gets a chant in there, but then once they realize that he's gonna win, they're like, fuck this guy, fuck him. So they start to boo him. Like, that just showed the direction of the fans caring about Diesel, or Kevin Nash as champion. And then we went to the main event, which was Bam Bam Bigelow with the $1 Million Corporation versus Lawrence Taylor and his all-pro team. Now, I'm watching this now again and just realizing, holy fuck, Eric Bischoff stole this angle 1 year later. He literally did. He's not maybe all the same guys, but 2 of the guys from Lawrence Taylor's all-pro team are in a match. It was at, I believe it was Slamboree 96. We had Ric Flair and Kevin Green versus Steve McMichael and Randy Savage when Steve McMichael turned and became a horseman. And then you actually had a match with Steve McMichael and Reggie White. Bischoff. Like, Bischoff for the longest time may have not had anything creative. I thought about that, but then you realize that how revolutionary his Nitro concept was. So I can't all take that away, but wow. Can't believe he sold that, Eric. But this match, the main event here was one of the actually more proud main events I am of Mania. Because you could have done this Lawrence Taylor angle with any other heel, but they chose Bigelow. And I thought that was cool, because Bigelow is a guy that absolutely deserved to be in this position. As he's one of the more talented and underrated guys ever in the history of the business. That's just one thing I thought there. Anyways, this match is actually one of the more better executed celebrity matches you will see out there. I think the key to a celebrity match is please have someone that's an athlete or has an athletic background. As if you look at all of them, the celebrity matches through the years, the better ones are with people that, do some form of sport. Like, Dennis Rodman, when he was in WCW, put on some really good matches. They were tag matches, but his performance in them were strong. Floyd Mayweather at WrestleMania 24 against Big Show, pretty well. And then this one. This is, I think, the key in how you look at and how you do it. As you know, Bigelow made Lawrence Taylor look really, really well in this match. He sold for him well. He would throw these big shots, and Bigelow would just take massive bumps, and these hip tosses, he'd do incredible rolls. And, just very well executed. And then when, Bigelow would come back and get the heat, or came back, obviously he took it well on Taylor, but, Taylor hit a belly-to-back suplex on him, and that looked really well executed. So I think the key to it also is the fact that the celebrity has to take this seriously, which Taylor did for sure. Mr. T, I'm sure he did, but I just think he wanted to be the superstar and what have you, and didn't really work and didn't get the respect of the guys in the business at that point. So I think that's one of the keys to it, as that has to happen. And of course, there's the memorable spot where Bigelow hits a moonsault on Lawrence Taylor and absolutely breaks Lawrence Taylor's shoulder or collarbone, absolutely shatters it. And so Lawrence Taylor needs to be given all the credit in the world for continuing on for another 5 minutes with this match and fitting I believe it was a forearm shot off the second turnbuckle on the inside, as Gorilla Monsoon would say, to Bigelow to get the finish. And, the plan for this was, obviously they turned Bigelow face as he became Diesel's best friend, and the plan was to do a rematch, or a new match, it was going to be Bigelow and Taylor in a tag against, I believe, people from the $1 Million Corporation. But Taylor wasn't up for it, and the plan, honest to God, was to turn Lawrence Taylor heel. How would that... What? That would be so bad. I don't think Lawrence Taylor as a heel in this situation would be would work. Because at that point, I think Lawrence Taylor, in the media's mind, but this is before he completely lost his mind with cocaine, to the media, he was still regarded as this great football player and respect. I mean, sure, he was a mean guy in the football field, but I don't think it would have transcended well, towards, the wrestling, especially what they were doing in that time. So I don't think it would have worked. But overall, do I recommend you see this show? Absolutely not. If you want to, search up maybe 1 or 2 matches, do it. I would not recommend sitting through the entire show. The entire show, bad. Bad. Really bad. But anyways, I've rambled on way too long about this show. Way too long than maybe it should be. I don't know if I will do any other WrestleManias. I probably will. There's, a few that I want to talk about that I don't see enough reviews of. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm out. Peace.